Well, hey everybody, it's Brad.
And I'm Christa.
With the Country Life News Show. This is Northwoods Live.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
As you can see, we live in the Northwoods.
And we're live.
And we're live.
Because watching someone who's not live is not exactly that fun. I mean, they don't do much. They don't talk much. So anyway, Northwoods Live, Country Life News, welcome.
Yep.
We've got a ton of stuff to talk to you guys about today.
Yep.
Brad
made his list.
I don't want to show them just yet.
No.
We're going to talk about hay. We're going to talk about gardens. We're going to talk to some controversial ministers who are out there actually doing real life ministry.
What?
It's
no
true.
Way.
We're going to talk about cookbooks, and we're going to talk about all kinds of dirty things like dirt works and people who work in the dirt.
Yep.
I think we ought to just get to it.
Yep.
What's on the first thing? I think we need to talk.
No, there's nothing there.
Yeah, there is.
It's right here. There's nothing there.
It's right there.
Oh, we're talking about hay.
Hay.
That's the next line. I thought he was pointing to the other line.
Let's get cranking on the hay.
Yeah. Hay.
Okay, so first article we're seeing is from farmprogress.com and 8 tips to stretch short hay supply, because like we were talking about, it's going to be rough.
Yes.
We're seeing it all over the place. It's not just one place, not just one farmer, not just one area. Everyone's saying that with all the wacky weather, brace for impact.
Right.
So what do we got here in this article? It's pretty much just basic tips.
Right. Just basic stuff. Just saying, look, inventory your hay. Inventory what you have. If you do square bales, weigh a few so you kind of get an estimate on how much hay you actually have in pounds. Because that way then you know, okay, well, my horse needs to have 3 pounds of hay each feeding, or I'm just giving a number. It's not an actual number on how much a horse eats, but that way you know exactly how much you have so that it'll stretch. So another one is minimize your storage losses.
What does that mean?
Well, get that hay out of the weather. Get it up off the ground. Get it in a barn or under a tarp. But if it's under a tarp, make sure it's dry and that there is airflow. Make a sort of tent. Some friends of ours, they got their hay and it was mostly dry. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was a little damp from some weather, but it was starting to mold. And they needed to have some airflow going underneath there so that it was protected from the weather, the rain and the snow, but it still was staying dry. Yeah. So but then definitely also, we've had this problem before, is making sure it's up off the ground, because that hay is going to wick the water out of the ground, mm-hmm. and it's going to mold it from underneath. And that's just a huge waste of money.
There we go.
Reduce feeding loss.
This one is cost versus outcome in my mind, because, if you guys have ever done gardening at all for your home, like personal gardening,
yeah.
You can spend so much money on the fertilizer and the pots and this and that and all the tools that all of a sudden it would have been better for you to just buy the vegetables for 20 years rather than put it in. Yeah. So this one, they're going to tell you to get a bunch of implements. Right. Now, if you already have them, great, but you're really going to need to count the cost. Is it worth it? Are you talking a 10-year investment? Mm-hmm. Pencil it out to make sure that it's worth it, but go ahead.
Exactly. So it says, consider minimizing feeding losses using hay rings with skirts, that metal piece on the bottom, tapered ring designs, chains to suspend bales, or cone inserts to keep hay inside the feeder has been proven to reduce hay feeding loss. We have actually found that a hay net works really well for our animals.
I will say it's a pain in the butt.
It is a pain in the rear end. Yes, it is. However, they don't lose or waste nearly as much hay as they used to, because cows, they just like to rub in it and scratch on it.
Play.
Yes, they love to play. And it just dumps it on the ground. Well, once they pee and poop on it, they're not eating it. So we have been using one of those big round bale hay nets for 2 years now. It has really saved our bacon. It makes them slow down their eating, for one. They're not gobbling it down and wasting so much. But it actually keeps the hay contained. So if it loosens up, it still stays in that hay net, which then they can still eat it and it's not getting peed and pooped on. So.
Well, and with the horses too, the slowing down helps with not having colic.
Well, yes, and choking. As horses get older, they can tend to choke on big clumps of hay. So having, say, Selah slow down her eating, it helps prevent that choking.
Culling. Now, here's one that I know this is zero fun, but I got to tell you what, this is a real issue that a lot of farmers are facing right now. And if you're facing this, put your experience down in the comment section below, because not just to say, hey, I'm having this problem, but so that other people can hear it and decide for themselves better what might be what they need to do, what's coming. But culling, it's just simple math. We treat our animals, frankly, more like pets than we do commercial, industrial, dairies and all that kind of stuff. We're the weekend warrior hobby homesteaders, but
keyword hobby.
I know. It's not our main business.
No.
And so while we look at something like culling and go, are we going to have enough money to feed these animals for the next few years? For us, it's not as impactful as it is a farm, but that's the reality of one of the aspects of having a farm, dairy, yada, yada.
Well, and we actually had to go through that this past winter. No, I'm sorry, not this past winter, but a year ago. So we had 3 female cows, and one, we had tried to get them all pregnant, and it didn't take. One of them actually had an abortion. Well, come to find out, she was actually eating a lot of food, and it was reducing our hay by a lot. So we actually were like, okay, do we really need 3 dairy cows? We really don't. 2 dairy cows, because you guys know that rule, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So we have for preparedness. So this particular cow was not proven. She had never given milk before. So we thought, okay, we'll cull her, put her in the freezer, and we'll have 2 dairy cows.
Feed the
family, not the cow. But it actually helped reduce our hay usage by, I want to say 30%. It was significant.
Ooh, jinx. You owe me a Coke. By the way, that's the silliest thing.
It is really silly.
You owe me a Coke?
I don't want a Coke. No.
I don't want a Coke. Nice water. I got some water over here. So limit time to hay access. That's going to be dependent on your own particular situation. Now, this one, no. I disagree. Farm Progress, got to tell you, you guys are smart people. This one I disagree with.
Yep. So substituting hay with grain, I don't agree with that. Well, not only is it not cost effective, it's actually not beneficial to the animal. Cows are supposed to eat 99% grass. They are not grain. They're not supposed to be grain-fed animals.
It's a financial decision.
It is a financial decision because the amount of money that the cost of grain is significantly cheaper, especially if you do it with silage. But cows are not meant to eat grain-fed. They're not supposed to be grain-fed.
It's going to shorten the life of the animal.
Right.
It hurts them more. And again, we're not industrial farmers, so I get it. Some people make that choice based on money. We just don't, because we're trying to do things a little bit different, because it's not our main business.
Right, it's not.
So, but we wanted to show you that's in their list.
Yep.
Deworming the animals. If you got a healthy animal, it's a no-brainer. You got a healthy animal, then they're going to process more of what they're eating better.
Right. If your animal is heavy loaded with worms,
parasites,
they're going to eat more because the parasites are basically eating all of the food, and they will become emaciated. That actually happened with our cow Honey. When we got her, we didn't realize that she had worms, and she just progressively kept getting thinner and thinner and thinner, even though she's eating the same amount of food. And we were kind of trying to bulk her up. Well, we wormed her. Sure enough, then she started putting weight on, and she started being healthy, and using that hay and the small amount of grain that we were giving them during milking, it was actually benefiting her. So
happens to me all the time.
I know it. Definitely.
Every time I get my worms.
Worm your animals.
Worm your beasts, your beasts of burden. So there's the article, and props to Farm Progress as we just chat about what they did. Let me see, is there a name on this article so we can give credit? Credit where credit is due.
Jeff.
Dr. Jeff.
And I will not pronounce his name, but he's over at the University of Kentucky.
Loom Cooler.
Dr. Jeff, thank you very much.
We agree with almost everything you said, and we're not doctors, so he's probably better to listen to.
Yep.
But so
thank you, Bearcats. Not Bearcats. What is that? UK? I don't know. I can't remember what their...
University of Kentucky.
Yeah, I can't remember what their mascot is.
Tar Heels?
No.
There's Blue Devils over there somewhere on the East Coast.
Oh, phooey. Can't remember.
I'm not very sportsy.
No.
So anyway, tips. Share your tips down below. We really, really do appreciate, because guys, again, ladies, gentlemen, you are going to be the solution to somebody else's issue if you put your knowledge down there and you share your knowledge, and you don't just be all stingy. Don't be stingy.
Share the love.
All right. Who doesn't love warm cucumbers or tomatoes, fresh from the garden, still warm from the sun?
Yes.
Cucumber sandwiches.
Oh, man.
I know this is sacrilege, but white bread.
Yes, that is.
Mayonnaise. A little salt.
Yes.
Done.
Cucumber. Delicious. Yes.
Gardens. We need to talk about gardens, gardening, and all things that are related to the USDA. We're going to sort through some of the fiction. We're going to sort through some of the fact, and we're going to talk about whether or not you are going to be registering your garden.
Don't make any comments just yet. Hear us out later on. I know you guys are mad typing. They're not a thing. No, just hold on. Just hold on. Just wait. Just wait.
Here we go. It's no big secret online about the garden issue. We've even talked about it ourselves, that the government wants you to register your gardens. And we want to talk about what's true, what's false, kind of unpack some of this nonsense and some that is true. And also, we don't have crystal balls, but I'll tell you what, we do need to kind of look ahead and see what could possibly be. So here's the first article from the USDA. Mama, take it.
All right. So this...
And you just skim, of course.
Of course. So this article came out in September 2022, as you can see. And it is basically saying that they are opening the People's Gardens Initiative to gardens nationwide.
Lovely.
Sounds beautiful, doesn't it, Katie? Yes.
Yes, Karen, it does.
So the USDA is expanding its People's Garden Initiative to include eligible gardens nationwide. And if they register on the USDA website, and meet criteria, including benefiting the community, working collaboratively, incorporating conservation practices, and educating the public.
Okay, first things first. Whoever names these programs, you guys need to remove your heads from your crevasses. This automatically, without even knowing much about it, sounds communist or socialist or some ist.
Yes.
I mean, am I wrong in that?
No.
Affiliate People's Garden. It's like, the People's Affiliate Garden Republic of blah, blah, blah. Sorry to cut you off, but it just smacks of like somebody who is so disconnected. They have no idea what's going on, especially with people that garden.
Well, and who in the USDA actually does garden?
Not if you live in D.C.
No.
For the most part.
No.
It's a concrete jungle there.
Sure.
Man.
Oh, sure.
But anyway,
so
continue
they
on.
originally launched the People's Garden Initiative in 2009. It's named for the People's Department, former President Abraham Lincoln nickname for the USDA. He called the USDA the People's Department.
That's new on me. That's new on me.
I don't know what okay, I'm not dogging on President Lincoln, former President Lincoln.
Pal, he's our pal. President Abraham Lincoln. He's our pal.
Fireworks.
Name that movie.
I don't know what people this department is actually working for.
We are not terrible at American history, and I really don't remember that part. I'm going to go back and check that.
I'm pretty sure the USDA isn't for people in any way.
The USDA, but what?
Yeah,
anyway,
no.
keep going.
we're gonna keep this positive.
We digress.
Yeah. Okay, so the People's Garden grow fresh, healthy food and support resilient local food systems, teach people how to garden and use conservation. The reason I'm talking like that, because
it's government stuff.
This government, you know what, okay? I'm not suggesting that the people who are doing community gardens are not doing those things. But what I'm saying is, next paragraph down, shows you how to register.
Okay, hold on. Time out. Pause, because I really want to unleash.
I really do too.
Some Roman fire upon them.
Need my knife hand to come out.
Here, first things first. Let's go on over here and look at this page, because the USA Today, completely credible news source, always tells the truth. Never, ever, ever fabricates anything about political opponents. Mm-hmm. Never, ever misleads people with funny things.
Right.
That's why we picked this one.
Right. So apparently this is the claim that the USDA requires people to register home gardens. Okay.
Okay.
According to the article that we just read on the USDA.gov site, right, it's not asking you as a home gardener to register your home garden. It is a registry for community gardens.
Okay, I want to read something here, because this is funny. They cherry-picked something straight out of YouTube. Here is a quote from a video that they don't name or cite whose it is, said in this video, y'all see where the USDA came out and just said, hey, if you grow your own food at home, if you have a garden, y'all need to come to our website and register that with the government. So we know that you
have it.
Have it, the video says. They don't say who did it. They don't say what. That could totally be made up. Yeah. Completely fabricated. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I want to get to this, because here's the thing. This is a debunking site. All right? So this is the way. Let me tell you what, ladies and gents, here. I got to get rid of this, because it's just maddening. Here's how you get away with the best lies ever. And yeah, Brad, preacher, loves Jesus guy, Brad. Before I was in the family of God, I figured this out. You want to get away with the biggest whopper of a lie ever? You don't admit to the big whopper. You admit to something really tiny and say you're super sorry for that, but I didn't do that big thing. Then you get away with it every time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They will throw a tiny bit of truth in these articles, like from the USA Today, and they'll say, you know what? The government is not trying to come and get you to register your gardens. And they will make it sound like, grab your pitchforks and torches, you uneducated masses, because they're coming for your veggies. They want your maters. And what in reality is the garden thing. Here it is. USDA opens the People's Garden Initiative nationwide. Now, the government officially is requesting that you volunteer to register your government or your garden.
Your community garden.
You got USA Today going over there trying to scare people. Oh, they're coming for your maters, and you rednecks that do this. Oh, you're the problem because you're misinformation. You are just, and they tell you half truths, and they tell you little bits, so that you think that there's a humongous thing. Well, let's sort through it. Let's just take a deep breath. The government is not forcing anybody to register your garden yet. That's Brad's ad. But what's happening right now is simply what Christa read. They're welcoming. Here it is. They're welcoming. And boy, oh boy, I don't like that idea. I don't like that idea, but they're not forcing anybody to do anything yet.
Right. They're asking for people who have community gardens to register your community garden. They're not talking about your home garden or your CSAs or
yet.
That's the key word in this. Yet. They're trying to, and this has been a blaring problem over the last, I'm going to say 50 years, where they slowly desensitize, they slowly put the leaven in the dough, right? A little leaven leavens the whole loaf, the whole lump.
Does.
Okay? This is how they work in and say, okay, we want to register these community gardens. We want you to register your community garden now. But then in a few years, after everybody's like, oh, this is great. We can really get the word out. We can show people around our community that we have this community garden and bring more people in and teach them. Well, then next it'll be a requirement to register your community garden.
Now, we are not saying that's factually what will happen. This is a guess based on what has happened in the past.
Yeah.
So we're not saying this is what's coming, because then we would just be doing the same thing everybody else is doing.
We're giving you this information because we want you to be mindful of what could possibly happen later on. We're not saying, oh my gosh, you're going to be so fear-mongering, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what we're doing. We're just saying, open your eyes, open your ears.
Look at what they've done in the past.
You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? Listen twice as much as we speak. Listen to what is being said between the lines.
Let me ask you this. Simple stuff. How the government operates, any government. You go back to Roman times, any of this stuff. Even, look, the birth of Jesus, right? What was going on there? A census.
Exactly.
A census. Why do they want to count stuff? Census. Here's comments down below. Why does any government want to count stuff? Whether it's cows, or it's people, or it's votes, or support, or this or that. Why do they ever want to do that? Unless they want to manipulate it in some way or use it as leverage for whatever. Whatever. I don't care if it's like, let's just say we had a census done a year and a half ago?
I think it was
they showed up.
2020. I think that was the first year we were here.
Let's just say that I kindly told the person that came, make up whatever you want. I'm not telling you anything about anything because it's unconstitutional. It's just simply not constitutional, and I don't have to. Right.
Basically, he told him to go pound sand.
I was nice.
He was nice about it.
Very nice.
Yes.
But I was like, say what you want to say, man. It's unconstitutional. Because here's the thing. Why do they need to know how many cows you have or how many this you have or that you have unless they're going to use it for some purpose?
Tax you.
Leverage. Somehow. So your thoughts down below. How many of you guys are super ready to register your garden in the future? Because they're not asking for it yet. But in the future, how many of you are super excited? Because that's...
No. I don't have a garden. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't
brings
have a
us to this. This is kind of cool.
Right.
Right? See over here?
Yep.
Boom.
This is slightly off topic,
but also a little
positive in that 2 states, and I know one of them's Florida, the other one is Illinois, which surprised me actually.
With as much kind of regulation they have.
Yeah, exactly. So those 2 states have a right to garden law. So it doesn't matter, excuse me, it doesn't matter if you live in an HOA, or wherever, you still have the right to a garden.
And I think that it's, okay, here we go. Ready, brace for impact, kids. Here we go. Coming in for a hard landing. Rights do not come because some person gave you permission to do a thing. That's not a right. A right comes from God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You do not have to ask permission to defend yourself. No. You don't got to get permission from somebody else. You should not have to get permission from some bureaucrat to grow food on the property that you have paid for.
That you own. You
get it.
Yeah. Right.
That's not something that they should dole out and say, yeah, we think that you fit our criteria, therefore we will allow you to.
That is actually quite frustrating. While these 2 states, and this article again came out a year and a half ago, but these 2 states have given you your right to garden. I still think that's so very kind of them.
Until they change their mind.
And then, no, you can't grow a garden. Or you have to register that said garden. Or, nope, you can't grow food even though we're in World War III. Or, all of those fun things.
Please remember that rights don't come from somebody giving you permission.
No.
They come from God.
Mm-hmm. Right. So if I want to grow food in my garden, in my backyard or in my living room, I'm going to grow food in my backyard or my living room.
And with all the chemicals floating around in the sky, you may want to consider doing more of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. We are so excited. Take a look at this graphic. Isn't that graphic an awesome graphic?
Mm-hmm.
The cookbook. Krista has been working on this cookbook for months and months now. Mm-hmm. And this is by far the best cookbook she's ever made. Yes, I'm tooting your horn because it's a horn worth tooting. Plus, it's true. It's really a great cookbook. A lot of things have been more healthyified. Mm-hmm. And yes, that is a term, healthyified.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I'm going to shut up and let you talk about this cookbook because it took you a long time. And I'm looking through it myself going, recipe we use, recipe we use, recipe we love. Mm-hmm. So a hug from home.
Yes.
And it's available now on our website.
Yes, it is available on our website, www.bigfamilyhomestead.com/shop.
Tell us about this beautiful cookbook.
This is the largest cookbook we have made. It is almost 200 pages. And I am super excited about this cookbook. There are some really delicious recipes. All of them are really delicious. They're fun to make. They are recipes that are from scratch. There's no box this and no box that and no, there may be soy sauce, but who makes soy sauce? But there's an alternative to soy sauce. Okay. It's the Bragg's liquid aminos or the coconut aminos that are a healthier version than soy sauce loaded with MSG and all this other nonsense. MSG. Right. So we have made it. No, of course, you don't have to have the Bragg's liquid aminos. You can use the soy sauce if you so choose to. That's the beauty part of recipes. You can tailor them to your liking. I kind of just, look at recipes as a guideline. I don't generally ever really follow it exactly, but I'm super excited about this cookbook. Like I said, there are so many delicious recipes in this cookbook. I honestly, we could go 3 months and not have the same thing. There's a lot of recipes in there.
Let me continue tooting a horn worth tooting. let's just say that not only are the recipes delicious, you're going to save money by doing these recipes because you're not buying things in a box.
Yes.
You're not actually going to be as filled with all the nasty chemicals they use to make these things shelf stable for eons.
Yeah.
And, well, okay, take a look at us. A lot of weight has been lost. And while, yes, we're exercising now, and yes, we take our moringa and stuff, but a lot of it honestly has to do with eating her recipes that are flavorful, but are just better for you.
Yep. It's not heavy pastas. It's, some of them may have pasta in them, but it's
not 10 pounds
it's
of pasta.
not 10 pounds of pasta. There's more protein and more veggies, and that's the main part of the meal, where the pasta is not the main part of the meal. It's the protein and the veggies that's the main part of the meal. So yeah, it's love it.
It's awesome.
I love it.
So folks, do yourself a favor, open up a new tab in the browser right now. Like, keep this one going live, open it up a new browser in the tab, and go to bigfamilyhomestead.com/shop, where you can just find your way there. Get a copy, and you are going to love it, love it, love it.
Yep.
We've already gotten tons of rave reviews from a lot of people, but we just released it, so be on the cutting edge.
Yep. And just for you folks who like a hard copy, this is a PDF download, but it is very easily printable. It's all black and white, single page for a recipe for the most part, and you can put it in a binder and it's done. You don't have to spend a fortune on printing. So
get a copy now.
Yep.
Ladies and gents, a lot is going on here at the Big Family Homestead Country Life News. Would you call
compound.
It headquarters?
It's compound.
Compound.
It's not a compound. That just makes it sound crazy.
We need he says undisclosed
location.
Underground layer. Mark Levin, the great one.
Funny.
The great one, Mark Levin.
So he's in Biden's basement?
No, but he's living there rent-free in his head.
Yeah.
All right. Enough of that nonsense.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry.
We are going to be embarking on a journey that you're going to see. That is this. I have been 100% called to do my part for many different ministries. And that is, I'm really good at audio. I'm really good at recording. I'm good at producing. I'm good at video production. And I really want to be able to do those things for ministries who cannot afford them for free.
Yep.
No money.
Right.
And so the next step in that process is I need a space to do it, because this is just a tiny bedroom. And you guys may think, well, that looks pretty cool. And it is pretty cool. However, anytime somebody turns on the bathroom fan downstairs,
it's loud.
The recording is messed up.
Yep.
Anytime somebody turns on a vacuum cleaner, recording is messed up.
Or the dogs bark.
Or the neighbor,
the driveway alarm
the
goes
tractor
off, or
goes,
the tractor,
or UPS shows up.
We may live in the country, but it's not quiet here. We have sheep that yell, and a donkey that brays, and dogs that bark, and children who, they make noise. Just life.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. We're going to be doing some building stuff, and one of our friends, who you guys know, our buddy Ryan, who has the lumber mill that you've seen in past videos.
Yep, he helped us with our barn and all the wood stuffs that we've needed.
He has a business that's in central Wisconsin, and you should look them up because they just now have a website, and here it is. Ready? Boom. Here's the massive, awesome ad. Look at this ad that's so high-tech. And see, we were talking about Bear, or we might, warning, let everybody know Bear is a different kind of guy. Okay, got it. He's different. We love him. Set Apart Dirtworks. Look at that. How about that for a commercial?
That's a great commercial.
Set Apart Dirtworks.
He does fantastic work.
Oh, yeah.
He really does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's done our driveway. He cleared some trees for us, some brush, and he actually made the spot where we put our horse shelter. What else did he? He's done a lot.
I don't know what the heck the machine is, but he's got this machine that goes on the front of one of his bobcats that is just like this flailing grinder of death that chops up trees and throws rocks that are this big, and it kind of flattens everything out.
Yeah.
It's like it just starts going, and it's like louder than loud, and there's this cloud, and then all of a sudden everything's just smooth.
Smooth. I can't remember what he called it. Fooey.
It's the flailing grinder of death.
Yeah, right.
Don't get in the way.
Right. But yeah, and he also has milled a ton of wood for us so that we could build the horse shelter, and he helped us build the lean-tos on the barn, and excuse me, all kinds of things. So
he didn't ask us to say this part, and he didn't actually ask us to say that part because, wow, here's the high-quality commercials you get here. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest single thing that you're going to want to know with Set Apart Dirt Works and Ryan is not the high quality work. High quality work, yes, check, got it 10 times over.
Right.
The guy's honest.
Yes.
And I mean honest to what the world would call a fault.
Right.
Not what I would call a fault. But the guy... Let's just say it that way. You know you're going to be fairly dealt with, truthful, honest. It's just that simple. And
you're going to get the project that you want to have done will be done to very high standards.
Unbelievable standards. So Set Apart Dirt Works, check them out.
Yep.
We are getting ready to share with you an interview that could potentially, and I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this could potentially be a groundbreaking few minutes listening to this interview. But this is the warning. Mm-hmm. When you deal with people who are on a mission and are convinced, sometimes you're going to get people that might not be like you.
Right.
And I say, praise God for that. Mm-hmm. Because you know what? If everybody was like me, first of all, life would be very boring. And not to mention, I don't know how much would actually get done. But you need to know.
That's not fair. You get a lot done.
Well, in a different way.
Sure.
This interview we have coming up here with Bear Independent, who runs many different ministries. Mm-hmm. And God has put him in a position that is just unbelievably cool. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to let him talk about all this stuff. But here's the deal. For those of you out there who are the quick, I make my mind up about a person in the first 30 seconds and then I'm out if I don't like them, you're going to have to hold on.
Yeah.
You're going to have to listen past the first 30 seconds because I know there's one tiny little thing that's going to make some of your heads go dink. And you need to understand, just because you may not agree with everything he says, there's probably going to be a lot that you're going to go, but you're never going to get there if you just go, I can't think now.
Right. Just remember, folks, we are all flawed.
Well, and not even just that.
And he just wears his on his sleeve.
He has no problem wearing them on his sleeve, and exactly. I say thank God.
Exactly. I'd rather know what I'm dealing with.
And you'll see.
Well,
you'll see.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been waiting for this moment for so long because you know what I mean when I say this, because we are in the presence of greatness. Knife Hands is in the room. Bear Independent. Sir, how are you?
I'm good, brother. Shalom. How are you?
I am well, man. Thank you for asking. And thank you for coming on and talking about, I actually don't know yet. I just know that I wanted to get you on because you're a busy dude. You're doing a gazillion things. I personally am a huge fan of your medical kits. I'm a personal big fan of Bear Independent, the rock star preparedness, don't have your head in the sand guy. I'm also a huge fan of the Caleb House. And so I just wanted to talk to you today to introduce you to a crowd that may not know you. So, Shalom. Who the heck
Shalom.
is Bear Independent, and why does Brad do knife hands and think it's funny?
So who is Bear Independent? I'm a nobody that lives in the woods of eastern Oklahoma. That's been some places and done some things, and I've got a handful of businesses and ministries that we operate on the daily. I read the Bible on camera at the YouTube channel Bear Independent. I am somehow inexplicably an ordained pastor that still uses four-letter words and drinks whiskey sometimes. And a lot of people get upset about that, but little do they know, I also played drums in a satanic heavy metal band for a decade. So, there's degrees to all of this. And so the creator of the universe told me that I was supposed to read the Bible on camera, and we got into an argument and he won. And that's basically where the Bear Independent channel came from. And so we talk about faith stuff, we talk about homesteading stuff, we talk about preparedness, and then I do some CEO video type content as well, because I'm really passionate about small business, and we've made at least 19,000 mistakes on this side of the camera. And so if I can help shortcut other people's learning about CEO stuff, operating a business, whether you're a solopreneur, one person shop, or you've got teams of people working underneath you, I think that it's really good for the right people to be engaged in entrepreneurship. And I think the United States of America needs more of that. So I'm trying to teach people the Bible. I'm trying to teach people how to not die when the balloon goes up, man. I'm trying to teach people how to operate their businesses, basically like how to have a better life and get out of this rat race and get off of the hamster wheel and start serving the creator and serving your family and your friends and your loved ones in the process. So that's me in a nutshell. That's what I do.
That's a big nutshell, man. That's a big nutshell. And I appreciate that. But now I've got to talk some people down off the ledge here for a second, because there's a good portion of people that all they heard was, I have been and done things that they don't approve of. But I got to say, guys, let me tell you what, I'm going to let you speak, but I've made my fair share of mistakes. I've made my fair share of straight up arguing with the creator of all things. And you're right. He wins every time, all the time. Now, the question is not, have we not all made mistakes? Of course we have. It's, what are you going to do with it? Now that you know, and you stand before a righteous and holy God without a way to pay for your own sins, tell me how you came to the understanding that you were going to need more than just deeds and stuff and checking boxes, and how you came to the realization that your sin was not getting fixed without help.
So it's the pendulum effect, bro. It's like a rubber band. You stretch a rubber band far enough in one direction, when it snaps back, it goes just that far in the other direction, right? And so I am well versed and experienced in being an absolute scumbag. Like, really, I was quite talented at it. I made a bunch of money being an absolute scumbag. Toured the country, played drums, sex, drugs, rock and roll, all that stuff. And was completely just empty on the inside, and honestly furious. I was just furious at the world, at myself, at everybody. And it's no way to live. You spend a decade at war with the creator. And I was in straight up apostasy for a decade. And it was never that, in hindsight being what it is, it's never that I didn't believe that he was real. I was just so angry at him. And so I tried to distance myself as far away from him as possible. And it turns out that doesn't work, right? And so I'm living proof of the fact that you can't run far enough away from him for him to stop loving you. If you'll simply teshuva, turn and repent, confess your sins, beg forgiveness, receive the blood of Messiah, right? Come back into the household of the Father. And so fast forward, I was born and raised in the church, and I ran away literally and figuratively from the church at 15. And many moons later, I was in North Texas, and we had a little tiny church that it was in a cafetorium, half cafeteria, half auditorium at a middle school, right? And we had a cow, a church on wheels, 24-foot trailer that would show up every Sunday morning, 7 a.m. And we'd unload the trailer, put the church together, do church, load it back up, take it back to the lay down yard again. And a neighbor of ours, Brooke, and her husband, Mike, invited us to church. Mike was the associate pastor, and I hadn't been to church in 15 years, maybe more. And I was like, man, I really don't want to go. And so I woke up Sunday morning, and now I know what I was experiencing. I had this spirit on me, but I like physically had the shakes, right? And I'm like, I got to go to church, man. Like, I don't go to church. Church is dumb. I don't go to church. It's like, I got to go. I have to go. And so I got dressed and I went to church, and I sat right in the front row, and the pastor preached the word, and I'm like violently shaking the whole time, like rocking like a dope fiend in my seat, because whatever was inside of me couldn't stand to be in that room. And the moment he got done, you know how it is in worship music, like we have the message, and then the worship song comes up for one more song, or worship team comes up for one more song. And dude, I scooted right out of the room at that point. I like ran to my truck, and I got home, and my wife was like, how was it? I said, it was terrible. She goes, oh, okay. I said, I got to go back. She's like,
it was terrifying. I can't get enough.
Okay. And so next Sunday we went, and so I took my wife with me, and we sat right in the front row, and the both of us just like shaking with the spirit on us, right? And we got done, and we got into her car, and I said, what do you think? And she said, oh, I hated that. I said, yeah, me too. She said, we got to go back. I said, yeah, I know. And so we went back the third time, and I couldn't run out of the room fast enough the third time. The pastor caught on to me. And so he was in the hallway on the way out, and he said, hey, I understand you play drums. I said, yeah, I play drums. He said, we've been praying for a drummer for our worship team for 2 years. He put his arm around me, and he said, would you prayerfully consider it? Now, I grew up in church. That's a direct order from a pastor. That's what that is. To prayerfully consider anything, that's a politely phrased direct order from a pastor. I said, yeah, I'll think about it. So I went home, and I was thinking about it, and I said, I know how to fix this guy. And so I found some old videos of me playing drums in these metal bands, and I emailed the pastor links to all these videos of me playing drums. I said, this dude will never ask anything of me again. Well, unbeknownst to me, he forwarded that to the worship leader, who wrote back to him. I got the email back. Oh, hell yeah, get this guy. He's awesome. And thus began my career in playing worship music on Sunday morning on my drum set. And about a year after that, I was baptized for real as a consenting adult in the name of Messiah. And then fast forward from there, about 6 months ago, I was ordained as a pastor. So, the Father uses all things for his glory if we'll just get out of the damn way. And so, yeah, I'm not perfect. Nobody is. I try to be a little bit more perfect to the best of my ability every day, and to walk in the example as set forth by Messiah. But man, if any of us could do this perfectly, we wouldn't need a Messiah in the first place, and we can't. And so, like I said, I'm an ordained pastor who played drums in satanic heavy metal bands and likes a glass of whiskey occasionally and still says 4-letter words. I'm also a work in progress. And so, you do the best you can with what you got where you're at. Heard that from Pastor Joe. And that's me in a nutshell, homie.
Yeah, praise God. And I mean that. I am constantly blown away at his mercy. Constantly. Every time I think, well, that was the craziest thing I ever saw, then he one-ups it every stinking time. And so you have had quite the jump. Now you are actually actively building community You're actively in a building project. Talk a little bit about what's going on there, because I know there's people that want to get involved, and I would love to be just a conduit for God to bless your project, because I believe what you're doing is awesome.
Well, bless you, brother. Thank you. We have two 501c3s. One is Grindstone Ministries. We do disaster relief, pro bono after hurricanes and storms. The other is Caleb House, Caleb with a K, Kaleb house.org. And Caleb House is a rescue and restoration ministry for juvenile human trafficking survivors. These are kids that have been trafficked, who have been through hell. And again, I had no intention of ever getting into this space at all. And 3 years ago, the father punched me in the forehead and said, "Hey, you will do this." I said, "Cool story, bro. I don't know how." And he said, "You let me worry about the how. You do this." Okay, roger that, tracking. And so we started Caleb House. And so like 90% of all the money in America that's spent per year on anti-human trafficking is spent on awareness. The other 10% is spent on rescue, which leaves 0% for restoration. And the reason for this is there's no good pipeline. The reason for Caleb House is there's no good pipeline for where do we take these kids after they've been rescued? Where do we take them, physically take them, and put them back together again? Because they've got mental trauma, physical trauma, emotional trauma, spiritual trauma. And they need a safe, long-term environment where they can be restored. And it's not just a biblical duty to forsake not the widow and the orphan, although it's absolutely that. And these are orphans in the truest sense of the word. It's also that the behavior that was perpetuated on them is a learned behavior. And so we're dealing with a generational curse here that has to be broken, because statistically, each victimizer is responsible for 82 victims, not 82 offenses, 82 victims. Now, it's a statistic, so it's an average, it's a mean number, meaning in some cases it's 2 or 3, in other cases it's hundreds. But whoever did this to them learned it from somebody else, and they've now learned this pattern of behavior as well. And so we need to, while we can, while they're young, raise them up in the way that they should go so they do not depart from it when they are older, and break that generational curse so we can rehabilitate these people and put them back out in the world on fire for the Creator, with their light lit so they can go out there and shine and be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And so we're literally building Caleb House right now, which is the restoration facility. It's the place with the buildings and the people where we put people back together again. But in the process of acquiring the land and beginning construction and all of that, we got a phone call. And then we got another phone call. And then we got another phone call. And so even though we entered the anti-human trafficking space on the restoration side, we are also active in the rescue side, because we were getting phone calls from people who literally needed to get out right now. And so I totally put the cart before the horse, because I'm incapable of saying no when there's somebody in trouble. We run towards problems, not away from problems. And so we started doing rescue, and we've rescued dozens of people. And the Father has totally blessed it. And I'll be the first one to tell you, when we started doing this, we didn't know anything about it at all, knew nothing about it. And the Father, because he's awesome and sovereign over all things, stewarded us through that. And the mistakes that he allowed us to make were non-critical, which was great. But he allowed us to make mistakes so that we could learn through them without anybody dying, which is great. And so we've gotten better and better as we've done this on the rescue side and the restoration side. And about 6 months ago, we actually had our first class of graduates from the restoration program, which is awesome. And the way we do things is we don't have a 1-year program or a 6-month program. We have a lifetime program, because I'm not going to tell a 4-year-old that they've got a year to get their poop in a group before I kick them back out on the street again. And I've got children ages 1 to 19 in my care right now. And so We don't have a 12-month program. You are one of our kids forever. And even when you graduate from the program, just like one of your kids, when they grow up and leave the house, they're still your kid. If they need advice from dad or they're going through a hard time, of course you want them to reach out to you so you can help them through it. And so it's a lifelong relationship to help rebuild these people and create a backstop for them rooted in faith that they'll be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Mm-hmm. And so that's what Caleb House is. And again, never intended to get into this space. Being perfectly frank, I don't like this space. I hate the fact that this work even has to be done, but it does. And the Father told me that I was one of the people that had to do it. And so here we are.
Well, again, praise God and thank you. So
praise the Most High. Don't thank me, homie.
Well, I'm thanking you. I'm not you maybe I was unclear. I'm just thanking you for being obedient, my friend.
Okay.
I'm thanking you for being obedient because obviously and truthfully, it is he who does the work. We just were the goofy ones that said, okay, I'll go. I'll do it. Yeah. Obedience, man. And I am so blessed to hear that there are people that give a crap. Because I hate to say it, man, but being in the church, there's a lot of people that will sit there week after week after week after week and gripe about things they don't like and say this and that, who are not willing to get up and do anything about it, or even write a check, or even worse, they'll write a check and feel good about themselves for doing something. Yep. And I'm here to say that's not the hands and feet of Christ. In a way that, I'm not saying that some people that's what they can do and that's what they're called to do. I agree with that. I'm just saying that when somebody can and will just feel like, well, I'll just do this second best, second rate, third rate, that's not cool. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm just grateful that you're willing to be used and to be obedient. That's the bottom line.
Well, here's the beautiful thing, brother. The Father does not require our participation for his will to be done. He wants our participation. And as a byproduct of wanting to do life with us, we are deeply blessed in the process. And so there's an absolute element of blessing on the other side of obedience. Amen. But I think most people are afraid to enter deeply into a relationship of obedience with the Creator because of what it requires you to give up on the front end. You can't keep being the same you that you were when you're doing his work rather than your work. And it's a constant battle, man. It's a constant battle against my will versus his will. That's just a fact. But once you enter into a relationship of that depth, there's only obedience and disobedience. And obedience brings blessing and disobedience brings curses. He will schwack your pee-pee.
You bet, man.
Yep.
All right. So how do people find out more about what you guys do and how to reach out, how to connect if they feel so inclined? How do they get in touch?
So Caleb with a K, Kaleb, calebhouse.org. You can find us there. Our stats are there. Our annual reports are there. Online giving is there. If you want to contact us, all that is there. So that's the best place to get a hold of us, or watch the Bear Independent channel on YouTube, because it's just a matter of time before I talk about Caleb House over on that channel.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. I thank you for your obedience, and it's an encouragement. And man, ladies and gents, get connected. Be obedient. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, brother.
All right, like I said, folks, big personalities usually end up doing big things.
Yeah.
And I so am behind what they are doing there. And I want you to know, contact them. Get with them. Here's one of the things that they do. Boom. Chunk, 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 chunk.
Fantastic first aid kit.
These medical kits are amazing. And this one was sent to us as a giveaway for one of you guys.
Yep.
But
we still have to figure out the giveaway.
we don't know how to do it yet.
No.
We're trying to figure it out to where it's fair for everybody. And besides, I like talking about it. And it's a cool thing to have in the office here.
Oh, sure, no kidding. This one is called the IFAC, which is an individual first aid kit. And so if you can go to their website and pick one up there. But just so you're aware, that's what it's called, is an IFAC.
This one's gonna go to some lucky winner, even with some of my dog Nana's hair. Apparently, we're gonna have to figure that out. We're figuring it out, but get ready because there will be a giveaway coming on this awesome kit. So thanks to Bear Independent and all of the stuff they do. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there is the show. We truly hope you've enjoyed your time here at Country Life News. Yay! If you like this kind of content, you're going to want to click that thumbs up. But more important than that, hit the subscribe button and then click the bell. Because for us to keep going, we need to know you're supporting.
Yep. We need to know that you are getting those notifications. Hence, that's why we started the Country Life News YouTube channel, because I know that we weren't getting pushed on Big Family Homestead. So, even though it's pretty much the same content. So,
don't forget to go get a copy of the new cookbook.
Yes, at bigfamilyhomestead.com/shop, and it's called A Hug from Home.
Oh, who doesn't want a hug from home?
I do.
I want a hug from home.
I do.
That means I've got to click this goodbye button so I can get a hug from
Goodbye.
home.
Goodbye.